This weekend was a full circle moment for me. Um, really mind blown and really touched with greater energy and spirits that this earth has to offer. And I think these moments that people desire and look for, they come when they're unexpected, right? So for me, how we came across this, it was just a regular Saturday afternoon. I trained clients in the morning, and then I was working overtime per usual, right? This is key, and making more content with my videographer, photographer. Saturday afternoon, when most people are doing recreational things, I was still working, right? And we were putting in the work, and it was just a regular day. Then we decided to hang out for longer, and I went back to his place and hung out. And we were just kind of talking and winging it, and we started getting into this conversation about water and how water, when he was showing me a video, how they've done experiments, how when you take the same kind of water and you put it one in a positive environment and the other in a negative environment, how it can, how the water changes. So the same kind of water, but different vibes and different reactions to the water. The video was kind of just average, right? So we kept diving deeper. What really caught my eye in this video is how different water is per source. So growing up, when I was young, I was just like, yeah, water, water, no big deal, water this, water that, we drink it, like whatever. As I've gotten older, that's obviously completely changed. Water is not just water. It's very different. So in this video in particular, it was showing it at the cellular level and very, very different. So I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. We decided to dive a little bit deeper. And then we started going over vibrations and energy, right? And he showed me this video how if you put sand on this plate, right, and we have sound frequencies coming up, that it would shape to exact patterns, right? At first I was like, no way, or I thought it was fake, right? So he showed me one video and I was like, whoa, like this is pretty epic, right? And then he showed me how there's a bunch of studies on this. And in that moment, it really triggered something that, it wasn't random shapes that were being formed. These were very specific shapes in the sand being formed based off the certain frequencies of the machine that was producing these frequencies. So if we were producing it at a certain frequency, it would go into the exact shape each time, which is a big deal because that means that the tone in which you talk, the energy in which you produce, all has specific types of energy, right? Growing up, we're taught to be positive and have an open mind, and you want to have a good attitude and take it day by day. But this is all very broad. This is all very, very broad. This is not concrete, scientific at all. And a lot of people in my life are not believers in energy. They think it's just mumbo jumbo. And then we've got people who think meditation is mumbo jumbo. And we got people who would never take the time to breathe and work on their breathing exercises. And then we've got people who don't pay attention to the details in their exercise, or they don't pay attention to the details in their diet, right? But this is where a lot of people are making their mistakes, guys. So when that sand was going in specific shapes, I can literally make shirt designs based off of the exact atoms that are being formed from the sand that's being produced from this frequency table. So what this means is that when I'm communicating with you, or when you're communicating with somebody else, you can't see it, but there are very specific shapes that are forming depending on the tone in which you speak or the energy in which you give. And this can affect everything, right? We already knew that, like oh, that person's got bad energy, this person's got negative energy, this person's got positive energy. But you are able to very specifically send correct vibrational frequencies to people based on how you talk, the tone in which you speak, and how mentally strong you are. You know, on a day-to-day basis, for example, we wake up, we go about our day, we're asked how our day was. You're like, yeah, my day's all right, my day's good. But what dictates that, right? And in a bigger picture, a bigger scheme here, since I work with people, I can tell you that when, like, people's moods and how things work in the economy and everything works in waves, energy waves. We're like all on the same energy frequency, right? And now this is starting to make sense, because when I'm not in a good mood or you're not in a good mood, or it's weird, but it tends to be on around the same days and weeks and times of year. It absolutely matters which cities you're in and all of these things. But we are being impacted by direct atom frequencies, very specific shapes, very specific atoms. So what that means is that when you're setting off a negative tone, right, it is sending very specific patterns. It's not just, oh, I'm in a bad mood or you've got shitty energy. It's very specific. It's not just like, oh, this person sucks, this person's good. It's very specific. Now, let's raise our consciousness level a little bit here. And now imagine we are in control all the time in what frequencies we are sending out. So it's not just, oh, this person sends good vibes, I'm a positive person, you're a negative person. It's like, it's absolutely not even about that. You and we are able to control this. And what this also proves is that negative energy has a very certain shape that you can't see. So not only is it negative, and you're just like, but it's a specific shape, which means that being around bad, negative people or shitty, negative attitudes and energy is like poisonous. And it's real, because if you are getting energy from someone in a shitty tone, right, you feel like off, right? But at the cellular level, in that invisible space between you and that person, there are certain specific atoms taking shape based off of the energy that negative person is sending to you, right? So what I've really gotten out of that is that you need to be really careful about all the toxic people you're around or the energy in which someone portrays to you. What also has really heightened now is we are producers of energy. We are not, you are either a receiver or a producer. So a receiver is someone who just goes about their day and they have good moods, they have bad moods, whatever. But a producer of energy, which is who we really are or can be, is you're having this consciousness all the time about how you are sending out energy into the world. By having this elevated level of consciousness, you are able to control the moods of all the people around you. There are certain healing frequencies. There are certain happiness frequencies. Positive energy, negative energy isn't just a vibe, it's a reality, right? So once I really understood that concept, it's like something triggered off in my brain. This is what I was talking about, my moment with God. So God, people are either believers, not believers, whatever. But about a year ago, I started to really understand that really the best interpretation of God that I've learned and understood is that it's just faith. It's your own faith. It's your faith in yourself. It's your faith in the right, that whatever it is that you're doing is going to work. Different stories, different scriptures, they're all just different faiths. Who God isn't about being Jewish or Muslim or Christian. Sure, if that is where your faith lies, then that is who God is. But to me, my interpretation is just faith and your belief in yourself and just small things in your life that are being impacted by forces that are really out of your control, right? So I always knew that there was like good energy, bad energy, have good energy, whatever. But the reason why I felt like I had my moment with God, my own version with God, is because I now all of a sudden began to see everything differently within that moment. So I then left his place, and we didn't even finish all the videos I wanted to watch with him. But the second I left his apartment, it's like I took on a whole new form. I felt like I was in control. I felt like there was a higher self now watching me. I felt like right now, even as I make this video, I feel like there's an energy coming out of my back, up, and I'm a satellite, just spreading out energy vibes all around me. You're able to send them through the phone, through social media, in person. And it's a combination of your mind, your words, and the tone of voice. Then he sent me over this video that I ended up watching on the Wim Hof method. And for a long time, I never really looked into the studies on this myself. When I was younger, I've done quite a few ice baths. I used to go in the ocean and freeze my ass off regularly. I've gone in many ice baths. When I was an athlete growing up, I would ice all the time, and I felt great. I felt really good. I couldn't really explain what was going on, but I knew that it was like good for healing, and maybe it was good for my injury or whatever. Then I stopped doing all that stuff because I'm getting older. I'm getting like lazier. I'm getting a little more spoiled. I'm pampering myself. I'm like, yeah, like don't really need to do this stuff really anymore. Whatever. But then when I watched this information on the Wim Hof method. So the Wim Hof method is a scientifically backed method on what cold exposure can do for the body. And the key here is that by developing a practice of the Wim Hof method or creating your own version and form of it, because it can be packaged and replicated in your own version, this is another form, another way of being able to control your energy. Being able to control your energy that you're able to control and send out into the universe. Right? When you're in these cold moments, so whether you're pushing your last couple sets on an exercise, or you're in cold therapy, or you're in a sauna, or you're in some other form of high intensity environment, what ends up happening is it elevates your breathing to a place where you believe. So a lot of people don't work on their breathing. A lot of people don't work on their meditation. A lot of people are like, yeah, just a bunch of this, a whole bunch of that. Very normal response, especially when you're in the beginning of that or you're comfortable. So when you're comfortable and you're just sitting around, it's hard for you to focus on your breathing because you're thinking about what's for lunch, you're thinking about texting that person, you're thinking about doing this or doing that. When you're breathing and when your belief starts to become real is when you're in a high intensity situation, because you no longer are thinking about anything but that moment and trying to get through that moment. And this is when your breathing becomes highlighted. Everything becomes highlighted. Everything in your body now begins to be highlighted because in order for you to get through that moment, you need to tap into autonomous levels that you are unable to control when you're in a comfortable state. So for all these years when it comes to the ice baths or people doing freezing cold shit, and I was thinking they're nuts, and I'm like, yeah, fuck that, because I'm being spoiled in my sweatpants and sweater. What I'm now realizing and how I'm able to apply this is that you are able to tap in deeper than you know. I have always known that in a broader sense. This is what I will instill into my clients and into my teammates in the past. But by consciously putting yourself in intense situations, it makes you a believer. It makes you focus on your breathing. It triggers parts of the body and releases hormones into the universe that are unable to be released unless you are in that environment. So, for example, I just took a cold shower. So since Saturday, I've been totally acting different. I wonder if people around me feel any difference in my energy, because I'm now being very specific. Instead of me being tired, I'm trying to send out positive energies, which is helping me with my emotional posture. Right? We talk about having good posture, but now from this weekend, with this experience that I've gone through, I'm now focusing on my emotional posture, which I feel right now, and I quite literally see energy now. This is the thing is now, because something got triggered. Something got triggered over the weekend that I can't unsee. And that is the energy that I'm releasing, and that's the energy that people are releasing. So now I'm seeing this everywhere I go. And I'm now seeing it as these invisible things that are now highlighted. So for example, if I'm to walk up to somebody and I want to get them into a good mood, essentially I'm trying to capture them in my energy, because the vibrations are very specific and they're going to be able to feel it very quickly if I get their attention. This is very different than just approaching somebody, because if you're approaching somebody, you can get nervous and you're like, what do I say? What do I say, right? Like what do I say, right? But now what I'm realizing, it's not really exactly the catchy pickup line. It's you're trying to send positive vibrational frequencies that are specific to the person you're trying to engage with. And by inserting that energy into the person, they're going to feel it and respond to you naturally. And you can do this in a conscious way versus just walking up to somebody and just being nice. Because if you're just walking up and being nice and complimentary, that's not exactly the same as sending off conscious, positive, vibrational signals. So since Saturday, I've done a couple of drills, just baby steps, nothing too extreme. I do have a history of jumping in ice baths, but it's been a long time. So I went outside and I stood on my balcony for like an hour in my shorts. It was a cold night. I also grabbed some ice and I held it in my hand the whole time until it melted. Then yesterday, what's today? I think yesterday I went for a walk. Yes, yesterday I went for a walk, got sweaty, came home, took a cold shower. I didn't just like destroy the cold shower. I'm not gonna be pretend like I just owned it up, like I killed it. I tippy toed in. I started with my legs and started creeping in, and it was hard as fuck. And then I did it again today, and I was actually reminded because I've been like spreading the energy all around to people lately, and I was actually a little bit tired, but my emotional posture was pulling me up because I know if that I'm tired, I'm gonna send out weird vibrational frequencies. So kind of pulling my emotional posture up. But then I went and took another cold shower. And now look at me, dude. I'm just like ranting. I'm rambling on. And it's not easy to do. But having this consciousness and effort can absolutely take you to a whole new level. Whole new level. And I think for me, where this all came full circle is I am out here looking for all the right answers in my practice. I'm looking to be the best version of myself. I'm looking to evolve my practice into one of the great practices of the world. I work relentlessly. And when you kind of come across these moments where it really all comes together and you can't just Google these things, they come from just experience. And the fact that I wasn't even looking for this, it kind of just like hit me. Now it's just like I'm just seeing it all differently now. And that's what I mean by having my moment with God. Because now I just see like radiating energy coming out of people. Do they have control of their energy? Am I in control of my energy? Very, very different perspective than I had just a couple days ago. So this is the moment that I had over the weekend. This is my full circle moment. This is my touch with God. And this might not resonate with you as much because you have to go look for your own moment. It's not going to be obvious. And if you go looking for it, I don't even know if you can discover it. But I think the best way to find your moment is just grind, just work on yourself, work on whatever it is that you're doing. And at some point, it's just going to hit you. It's going to, right? So there's that. And let's try and have a better emotional posture. And just know that you absolutely affect the environment around you based off of the energy that you're sending out into the environment.